Hello and welcome to episode 14, the last episode of the decade of Four Guys Talking Sports, the podcast. My name is Luke Lagrano.
I'm Ryan Hicks.
I'm David Axel.
And I'm Lawrence Lagrano.
Yes, Four Guys Talking Sports, the show where all four hosts have spent more money in the last decade in free agency than the New York Mets. How's everyone doing today, boys?
I don't know if that's true, but
It sure feels like
it's sentiment. It does. I'm doing great, Luke. Thanks for asking, man.
I'm excellent. Right. We're living the dream here.
We are in fact living the dream. Well, boys, we've come a long way this decade. We started Three Guys Talking Sports, transitioned to the podcast world. We've had a lot of fun, and boys, we have some big news about the future of Four Guys Talking Sports coming up later in the episode. But not only that, we have our friend Matt O'Hara joining the show, coming on to talk a little hockey and a little football. And what do we do before every time we have a guest? We need to do our picks leaderboard. Let's see it. Let's toss it up there. Let's see how everyone is doing. We have a big tie for first, but we do have some tiebreakers that settle the placing. David, Ryan, and Lawrence all have 42 points, but David is in first with a record of 24-15. Ryan is in second with a record of 21-18, and Lawrence is in third with a record of 19-20. And in fourth, missing out on all the fun, is me with 38 points and a record of 18-21. David, go ahead. Let's hear your 1 point pick.
All right, so the 1 point pick is going to be the only dog of the week that I'm going with. And I'm going to take the Oakland Raiders, getting 7 in Carson, California, against the Los Angeles Chargers. Just seems to me like that's actually a Raiders home game. And because I guarantee you that stadium is going to be more Raiders fans than Chargers fans at this point, with the Raiders having already played their last home game in California. This is really their last home game in California. And they're getting a whole touchdown against a team they're probably just as good as. So lock it in 1 point. Oakland Raiders.
Will do. Ryan, let's hear it.
Alrighty, I am taking the Houston Texans, who are on the road, but they're 3-point favorites against Tampa. I don't think that Tampa's that good. I think this is going to be an offensive shootout, but at the end of the day, I think that Houston's defense is going to be better than Tampa's, and so when you get into the fourth quarter, I think Houston's going to make the stop they need to, and I'm confident that they can win by more than a field goal when it comes down to that. So hammer the over. I think there's a whole lot of scoring in this game, but at the end of the day, I think the Texans come out on top.
Now that you say that, it'll be a 6-3 final. Good job, Ryan. All right, Lawrence, 1 point pick.
I like this, but I'm a little nervous about it. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens laying 9.5 against the Cleveland Browns. I think this is a game where we're going to see RG3, and that's going to win or lose this game and decide whether or not the Ravens are backdoored or they are up by so much already that he is just sailing into the win with them. But not sure. 9.5 slot, but they have historically covered so many double-digit spreads before that I think they're just going to blow them out again. So, Ravens, lock it in.
Well, Ryan, I will say that your pick was my fourth game. That was the one game I decided to leave out of my standings. But a game I did not leave out of my picks is Lawrence's game, so I'm going to go ahead and jump on the bandwagon with you, Lawrence. Taking the Ravens minus 9.5 at the Browns. Like you said, they beat up on the Browns last time. I'm sure they're going to beat up on the Browns again. This Ravens team is the best team in the NFL, and I'm sure they're not going to have a single issue dealing with Believe Land, as they like to call themselves. But I don't think they're believing it much anymore. So, with that said, David, 2 point pick. Let's hear it.
All right, so the 2 point pick that I'm going with, Seattle Seahawks laying 9.5. Also at home laying a big spread against the Cardinals, though, and the Seahawks, they're fighting for that 1 seed in the NFC. They're going to run these guys out the building. They're just a way better team, stem to stern. So I'm going with that. Seahawks laying 9.5.
Cool. All right, Ryan.
Taking another road team, I'm taking the Jaguars, who are 7-point underdogs against the Falcons. I've done a pretty good job. This whole podcast has done a pretty good job of betting against the Falcons. I don't think that either one of these teams is necessarily good, and as a result, I'm hoping that it's a close game of two very mediocre teams. I don't think that the Falcons are going to win by more than a touchdown, so for that reason, I'll put my 2 points on the Jaguars.
Lawrence?
I'm going with a game already taken already. I wholeheartedly agree with David's sentiment on Oakland and getting 6.5 on the road to a team they might be better than. I've been picking road teams in LA a lot this year, and I think this is one that's going to really pay off. So, book it.
Cool. All right. So my 2-point pick, I'm going with the Chiefs -6 at the Bears. I know this is a little bit of a wild pick, but I think the Chiefs are still going to come out with their full starting roster, looking to lock up that bye. And I think Chicago has officially lost all hope for the year. I think that they've finally fallen apart and have just embraced the tank. And I know I've said that before and it's bitten me in the butt, but I'm hoping I really mean it this time. So I'm going with the Chiefs -6 at the Bears. David, 3-point pick, the cursed pick of the week.
I'm really interested to see if this is all the same, because I'm very shocked that no one's picked my 3-point game yet, but maybe I'll be surprised. That's just what I wanted to add. Go ahead.
I think this one's going to make you guys laugh a little bit.
All right, so maybe it's not this one.
So this game has no spread. It's a pick 'em, and I'm going to be taking the Miami Dolphins at home against Cincinnati Bengals because I think on paper they're a better football team. There's no spread, which is really a steal at this point. They just got to win the game on the football field. And the Bengals they're just not as good. They really are the worst team in the league this year, even though the Dolphins looked like it in the beginning. And there is the Miami effect on a 1-11 team, or 1-12 team actually at this point, that knows that their future quarterback, Joe Burrow, is not playing for them yet and going to be coming in. They're going to be at the strip club till 3 a.m. the night before the game. And they're going to come in hungover, and they're going to get killed by the Dolphins. And that is the Miami effect. Or Scott on the radio has said this numerous times. That him and Jess did this.
I'm absolutely shocked that you think they're only getting home at 3 a.m. That's early for Miami. That's when you go out.
You're probably right. Clubs. You're probably right. They do get to play a game at 1. So I mean.
Yeah, that's true.
That's funny. All right, Ryan, 3-point pick.
I was very surprised by how low this spread was. I think there's one team that's clearly better. I don't care that they're on the road. Why the Saints are only 2.5-point favorites against the Titans is completely beyond me. Put the mortgage on the Saints because they're way better than the Tennessee Titans, and there's no way that they only win this game by less than a field goal. So lock your 3 points on the Saints.
The trap.
I'm absolutely frightened with the review you just gave for that pick, because that was my 3-point pick as well, and now I really don't want to take it. But I chose it. I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to stick with it rather, and that's also going to be my 3-point pick. I was shocked to see it was almost a pick.
The Titans just don't have they don't have the firepower to keep up with this team. That just is what it is. If this game's a 2-point game, then that's on me.
The Saints are a little banged up injury-wise, so it could get interesting, and they are on the road. But I'm agreeing with you, Ryan, and I hate that I can't make up points because we think alike. So
here's my thing, David. If this is a 3.5-point spread, I think it's a little different. But the fact that it's less than a field goal is crazy to me.
I'm with
That's why I jumped all over it.
That's why it's the trap. They do that to get everyone to bet the side that's going to lose.
I'm with David on this one. All right. So, my 3-point pick. We've talked a lot about 2 things that I need to do on the show if I want to make up some points, and that's take some risks and stick to my guns. So, I'm doing exactly that.
Not one of the 2 things we've said. We've said that forever.
Take the risks and switch them. But here's the thing. We've talked about how David likes to take the Bills. We've talked about how everyone likes to beat up on the Falcons. I like to beat up on the Detroit Lions. So my 3-point pick is the Denver Broncos -7 against the Detroit Lions in Denver. This is 2 of my favorite young quarterbacks in the league. This is Drew Lock and David Blau. Lock's 2-1, Blau is 0-3, and the Detroit Lions have not looked good one bit. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who I argue are not a fantastic football team, just gave them the business last week. So if this is a team that can put up some serious numbers on the Texans team, I can only imagine what they're going to do against the Lions. So, Drew Lock, I'm looking to get lucky with you, pal. Let's do it. 3-point pick.
Whoa.
The lucky lock.
Lucky lock action. Yeah. Tip of the cap to you, Drew. This one's for you, buddy. All right. Let's send it on over now to our friend, Matt O'Hara. And we're joined by Matt O'Hara. Matty, welcome to the show. We're so happy to have you. How you doing?
Hey, thanks, everybody. Really appreciate coming on the show. Love you guys, and thanks for having me on.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for coming over.
Yeah, good.
No problem.
Matt,
love to talk sports with you guys.
Matty, we're stoked you're here, and I don't think there's a better way to start off the show because even though we're in the thick of December and we've got a lot of football we got to talk, we've got a big story coming out of the NHL. The hottest name of the trade deadline is off the market. Taylor Hall is heading back out west. The New Jersey Devils dealt the former MVP and prospect Blake Spears to the Arizona Coyotes in exchange for a conditional first-round pick in 2020, a conditional third-round pick in 2021, and prospects Nick Merkley, Kevin Ball, and Nate Schnarr. Maddie, how do you like the return for the Devils here? Was it worth it, or do you think they shipped him off too soon?
So I think my position's really evolved on this trade. So at the first thought, when I saw the return, I was like, we got absolutely hosed. I was like, gosh, like for Taylor Hall, reigning MVP, we got hosed. But then I did a little more research and got my emotions in check and realized, look, we got first round pick, we got a 2021 third round pick, conditional, could be up to one if he resigns. Okay, that's fine. We got 3 prospects that I thought were kind of falling off the deep end, but the more that I read about it, Kevin Beal's apparently a pretty good defenseman, big body, knows how to handle the puck. So, and we need that. New Jersey needs defensive depth real bad. All we got is Ty Smith. Ty Smith almost made the team this year, hopefully next year.
Hard to watch.
Yeah. Our defense is hard to watch, so I think he could be a possibility. The other 2, I don't see them cracking the NHL lineup anytime soon, but hey, depth in the AHL. So, I mean, for coming off reigning MVP, he didn't put up great numbers this year. He had like 6 goals and like 19 assists, so he's assisting a lot. He's not putting in as much goals. And if we waited to the deadline or we waited till off season, I was highly critical. I don't think he would have resigned. I really don't. I think he wanted to go to a contender. Coyotes on a playoff spot. Got an assist in his first game 2 nights ago. I watched a little bit of it, to be honest. Late start, but I had to see him. And so, I mean, hey, I think the writing was on the wall. We got a first round pick. We got another one that could hit up a few spots. Third round pick right now. Does he resign? Maybe. I mean, Coyotes put up a good run this year. They don't have a bad team. I mean, if they do a run this year, they win a playoff series, and that turns into a first round pick. So I think it's going to remain to be seen. I think this summer we'll know a lot more about it, but hate to see him go. 3 prospects, 2 picks. Hard to complain a little bit. One, I think, is going to be an NHL guy. The other 2, I think, are going to stay in the AHL for a little longer. 50% of the salary, too. I guess.
Only 1 year, though.
Yeah. So overall, I think it's okay. I'd be really shocked. I was really here with Avalanche. I'd love to see what the Avalanche package was. I don't think we're ever going to get that, but I was hearing them at the top of the list for a long time. Maybe it just fell through, but all in all, I think it's going to be okay. He's a great player. I hope he does well in Phoenix. Rooting for him, but yeah, I mean, what are you going to do? First round pick's a first round pick. We got to nail it this year. We have to. Yep. You just have to nail that first round pick. So we have our first round pick this year. We don't have our second or our third. So we have to do well in that first round. But hey, I trust Ray. I think he's done a lot of good things since coming to New Jersey. So hate to see him go, but overall, I think it's a pretty good deal. But it's hard to get a good deal. At this part of the season, it's hard to get a really, really solid deal. So overall, I'm happy with it and wish him the best of luck. But 2 first-round picks this year, it's hard to complain with that. So.
Now, with the Yotes being a playoff team, or well, probably a playoff team at this point, where do you project that pick being? 20s?
Yeah, I think they have a really good chance of. They could win the division. They can.
They could, yeah. A lot of time left still, but you're right.
They can.
I'm going to check right now, but I'm pretty sure they're in first in the division right now.
They are in first. They are. Their defense is filthy, and Darcy Kemper has been
playing out of his mind.
The definition of burning hot. So if he comes back down to earth, they could make the playoffs. I don't know if they're going to keep up the 1 seed, but because their forwards haven't been scoring. I mean, they've been playing around. I've been reading, this week they've been playing around with their forward lines a lot.
Yeah.
But very interesting.
Well, I think that's why
go ahead, Aaron.
I think that's why I like this trade so much for the Coyotes is because they brought in Phil, and Phil was supposed to be their solution to their offensive problems, and Phil didn't come out of the gate flying because it's Phil, and he doesn't fly at anything.
Hot dogs.
Yeah. So now you've added Taylor Hall. Right. Now you've added Taylor Hall into this mix, who I think can really help that offense. You also put Taylor Hall in a scenario where he's come out and said publicly he doesn't really like big markets. He liked New Jersey because he would be able to go places and wasn't recognized. So you found if you're the Devils and you're trying to get that second condition, sending him to a small market like Phoenix, who's contending for a spot, you have a much better odds of him re-signing there than him going to Colorado, where you've already had McKinnon kind of say he's planning on taking a hit. And so now you've got people who are vocalizing that they're not going to take a lot of money or they're going to take a discount, and it's a bigger market. So if from a Devils perspective, I really like where Phoenix is because I think that he has a really high chance of signing in Phoenix.
He did a great job there.
Yeah, they played this trade perfectly. They got him early. They didn't have to wait till the deadline. Giving up the 2 first-round picks is tough, but considering where this team has been in the past 5-10 years to what they can do with Taylor Hall now at the top of their division in a packed Pacific. I mean, there are 4 teams that are within 40 to 44 points right now in the Pacific, so it is a tight top 4. So I really, really like what Phoenix can do with this. I hope they can re-sign him because I think it'd be a big pull for Phoenix to now have him there, Phil there, and Oliver Ekman-Larsson. You kind of have your big 3. Then they just got to figure out their arena situation. They can actually be a legit franchise. But I really like it for Phoenix.
Yeah, and that 3, just the 2 conditions on that 1 pick is if he re-signs is 1, and 2 is if they win 1 playoff series. So can they do both? Definitely. Can they do 1? It's looked pretty likely right now. It's still early, but I mean, can they win a playoff series? Definitely. They got the goaltending right now, and they got the offensive firepower. So if he re-signs and they win a playoff series, that turns to another 1 first-round pick. That's not out of the question.
That power play is going to get way better too.
Yep.
Yeah.
It already has.
Yeah. I think the only bummer from this is that we don't get to see Hall in Colorado because oh my God, that would have been.
Can you imagine?
That would have been watching that team play is like watching you play NHL on rookie. It's just pass.
I'm gonna make a future bet on the.
I wanted to see that. I wanted to see that package. What could that package could have been that they would have dealt out players for Taylor Hall? Imagine Taylor Hall with Nathan McKinnon and Ratnanen and all those players. Oh goodness!
Honestly,
they had to be the favorite. They had to be the favorite for the West.
I think the Devils wanted Byram, and the Avs weren't willing to part ways with them, and I think that was the miss.
Would you have taken that trade if they offered you straight up Bowen Byram for Taylor Hall? Would you have done it?
Well. Funny enough, you say that because we the Coyotes' top 2 prospects were not part of this trade.
Correct.
I forget the name. It's the defenseman, someone else.
And I don't remember the center.
It's Victor Soderstrom and Barrett Hayton.
Which makes me feel like that Shiro was a little bit on thin ice here, that he wasn't getting what he was thinking he was going to get, but he didn't want to wait. And I think he may have pulled the trigger a little bit low. I think he really wanted those players, and I would imagine he put a big push for them. I just don't think those teams were ready to give it up. So I think he just had to go with what the time frame of the season, and just he went with it. So
Lawrence sees what I'm doing here, and that's because I want to get this point in before we move along here. I know that a lot of people have been complaining about the trade from a Devils perspective, Maddie. I know you said you weren't happy with it when it started. And you're right about the conditions. It's more writing than your grandmother's will. When I first read it, I was very confused. But I think
top 3. I mean, just give us a first rounder.
But I think what people are forgetting is that coming into the season, you guys missed out on Hayton Soderstrom, but Merkley and Ball are both in the top 5 in the Coyote system for prospects. I had never heard of Nate Schnarr, but apparently he's a top 10 guy too. But I've definitely heard of Nick Merkley and Kevin Ball. And Merkley's supposed to be better than Ball. I think that's the big part about this. Everyone's so excited to get the defenseman in New Jersey because that's what they need. But Nick Merkley is a really great player. He's going to be a top 5 in the prospect pool. Probably he's going to be up there for the Devils too. So I really liked this deal. I thought you said it best. It was Colorado or bust coming in. I really thought there was no chance he was going anywhere but Denver. But now he's in Arizona. He's already playing great. He's already meshing with the guys. Fantastic. They got boned in that one little game they played where they were up 3-2, and then everyone was calling penalties back and forth. It was 6-on-3 for the last minute. I put $10 on that game because it was Taylor Hall's first game in Arizona. I knew the odds were going to be all right, so I put some money on that. But I think both teams, great assist. Fantastic play by Taylor Hall. He's already looking great. But I really think that both teams are going to love this trade come this time next year. I think it's going to work out for everybody.
Yeah, that's a good point, Luke. That's a good point because one of the 2 forwards, I forget which one, tore his ACL, so he was out for a long time, and I think his offensive ability kind of got diminished during that time. So hopefully he comes back fully healthy. I forget which one of the 2, but I know he missed like an entire season with a knee injury. So if he comes back and he's got that offensive ability, could work out. So.
Very unfortunate. We should have reached out to Bach
We should have reached out to Bach.
before we did this story because I'd be interested to hear if he would have taken Bowen Byram over the return for this Taylor Hall trade.
1-for-1, Larry? Like the deal is 1-for-1?
It's Bowen Byram, man.
All right, here's what's gonna happen.
Byram.
I'm going to
First round
text
picks
Dan
are
Block
just-
right now.
I'm doing it right now, Luke. I'm already on
You
it.
got it? Okay,
Yep.
You got it.
Okay.
So we'll revisit.
Well, Ryan texts Block, and if he gets back to us before the end of the show, we'll give us your answer. But let's move on here. Next up, we've got some tough news out of the NFL. Josh Gordon has been suspended indefinitely by the league for violating its PED and substance abuse policies. This is Gordon's 5th suspension since 2013 and 2nd indefinite suspension in his career. Ryan, is there any chance we see Josh Gordon on an NFL field again? Excuse me.
Nope, there's absolutely no chance he will never lace it up again, which is super unfortunate and really, really sad. I don't think there's any way. This is his second indefinite suspension. He's a repeat offender. He's had 4 or 5 substance abuse
5
suspensions. 5. That's an insane number. It's
And
such
this one,
a shame.
and this one wasn't marijuana; it was PEDs.
No,
It was both.
They said
both.
both.
Yeah, it's a combination of the two.
It was
Insert-
PEDs and substance abuse. That's what I'm saying.
Smoking
I
some
think that
HGH reefer.
I think that
Could you imagine?
the door on this kid in the NFL has been closed, which is an absolute shame because he was an unbelievable talent who could have played a lot. I think that this adds some legitimacy to when the Patriots released him and everyone was like, there's something else here that we just don't know. I think that he was showing up late or doing something, and the Patriots knew that something wasn't right, and that's what caused that. You can't blame the Seahawks for taking a risk on him because he was an unbelievable receiver, but I do not think that we see him play in the NFL again. And hopefully now he can focus on himself and not his career and be able to get the help that he needs because obviously it's become an issue for him.
And I was watching the Pat McAfee show the day the news broke, and he was detailing the process of being in the NFL substance abuse program because Pat McAfee had to go through it. When you're in the program, you're in it for at minimum 2 years. You are in there and you're getting tested 8 times a month, he said, for 27 months. So this wasn't like a test that crept up on Josh Gordon. He knew this was coming, and what McAfee said was he probably thought that his body fat count was so low that he could probably get away with it before his next test, and that's probably what was going through his head when he got caught. But I just feel bad because, Ryan, you said it, this kid had all the potential in the world. We know how much talent he has and how much speed he can bring to a game. He was really helping out that Seattle offense, and now I don't think we're going to get the chance to see him again. Maybe he goes to the CFL. I wouldn't rule that out, and I would suggest the Arena Football League. Maddie's tossing up the X.
Yeah,
Josh Gordon would be a perfect XFL player. Tell me he wouldn't be the perfect XFL player.
I'd watch.
Sells tickets, man. Sells tickets.
Maybe one day we'll see Josh Gordon on duty as part of the New York Guardians. Only one can dream. On duty, baby.
Gotta lay off the weed, though, man. Gotta lay off the weed.
Yep. Insert Stephen A. gif here.
From an NFL player perspective, though, you have the entire rest of your life after retirement to get as high as you want, whenever you want. Because you would have, this lump of money you could just sit on and do whatever you want with. Like, I mean, we see players
he
do it all
won't
the time.
need the HGH anymore if he retires.
Yeah, that too. So I don't know. I mean, it's a self-control issue. It's an addiction issue, and it's something he clearly needs some help with.
Well said.
All right, we have some big draft news coming out of Ohio State. Chase Young has announced that he will be staying with Ohio State to play his senior year, will not be going into the NFL.
Is
Dave,
it an official decision? I think it's more of he's leaning that way. I don't know if he's officially declared. He may have, and I may have missed it.
No, I think it might be official.
I've seen multiple reports saying that he's staying, but you're right, David. We won't know anything until the deadline. Right. But in the scenario in that these reports are true and that Chase Young is staying with Ohio State, David, do you think it's a smart move for Chase Young, and how does this affect the New York Giants going forward?
Well, the Giants are missing out on will be the best player in the draft at this current moment, and I mean
better than Joe Burrow.
Yeah. Joe Burrow's just a quarterback. That's why he'll go
shot
first.
up this year just because
Better
he's
than
winning
the
big
Bucs
games.
win.
It happened with Watson, but yes.
Chase Young is the best player in the country. Hands down. I mean, it sucks for the Giants.
I don't think there's an argument. Yeah, it's terrible. I mean, because the quarterbacks are at the top too.
This is terrible. Terrible news. I mean, this guy is.
This is not a very good day for Matty O.
Everything I'm reading about this kid, he's just better than everyone else. Bosa's blow out of the water from what I've been reading. It's unfortunate. Our defensive line is absolutely terrible. We could use him. He could be an impact player on day one. We're gonna have a top few draft pick. And I was really hoping that we'd be able to get a big defensive boost with him. But if he stays, that would be really unfortunate for us Giants fans. We need help.
Ryan, real quick, I just want to ask Matteo one more question. Losing Janoris Jenkins to the Saints, Matt, does this make this hurt even more?
No, it doesn't. Because as a Giants fan, I was behind the Janoris Jenkins cut. So I was fine with the decision to cut him. I hope I think he'll provide some value to the Saints. I mean, with Apple and Janoris Jenkins, that secondary, interesting. But no, I was behind the Janoris Jenkins cut. So it stinks to lose good defensive players, but some things are bigger than football. So we'll see. We need help on defensive, though. The Giants need a lot of help on defense, and Chase Young would have been huge, absolutely huge. Day one contributor, and if he doesn't, I don't know what we're going to do. I really don't know what we're going to do with that pick.
Ryan, I'm sorry for cutting you off. Please go ahead.
No, it's okay. What I was about to say is, well, one, this kind of goes against everything that we're about to talk about in our next NCAA segment, so a little teaser there. But I just can't imagine being in a position where you're 21 years old. Every NFL team has pretty much said, yep, you're going to make a lot of money, and you go, nah, man, I want to go take European history at Ohio State. Let me go back and take classes and write papers. Like, I just can't understand that and how much money you're leaving on the table, and I don't really get what you're gaining out of it. You're not like a Tua situation where you're hurt and you still have a little left to prove. There is no proving. There is nothing left to prove. This kid's either going to be number one this year or number one next year. So why risk it? You know what I mean? You weren't hurt for a season. You didn't lose a season. You're not missing tape. You are the consensus number one. You know that. Why are you? I just don't get what is there to gain from this. Do you really want a college football championship that bad? Like, does that really mean more to you than the millions of dollars you're going to make in a signing bonus?
You go back to college, you get hurt. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. Is like, what if this kid, God forbid, blows out his knee in training camp next year, spring ball?
There's a lot of players that have done things like this. Like Peyton Manning did. Look how that worked out for him. That's just the only example off the top of my head.
Was he consistent? Was he this high though in that draft?
If Peyton Manning
did he go back for another year when he was one? Was he?
Yeah, that was
it's Archie Manning's son.
Yeah,
who was lighting up college, but the Jets have a number one pick, and he didn't want to be a Jet, so he stayed.
I have to agree with Hicks on this. I don't really see. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he just doesn't want to go to the Giants, and I can't really argue with him.
Look at this paycheck and be like, "Well, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go now."
Right?
See the kind of payday he's gonna get and the kind of life he can have for him and his family.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's everything you dream of up until this point. I mean, this is all come to fruition.
I'd imagine though, if they go into, I think the game's in Phoenix next weekend and lose to Clemson, he's gonna have this chip on his shoulder and not want to leave college.
I think it's so dumb because they're gonna get blown out.
Not about blown out, but
I have a question. Let's say in a hypothetical, he says, "I'm staying at college." Halfway through the season, realizes how dumb it is that he's taken English 101. And is like, screw this. Can he be considered a free agent, or does he have to wait till the end of the college football season?
He's got to wait till the draft.
He does?
Yeah, because he has to be drafted.
He has to be drafted. Okay.
All right, and since Ryan brought it up, let's jump into our other NCAA story. James Wiseman is leaving Memphis. He said that he is done with the university. He is going to get an agent, and he is going to declare for the 2020 draft. So, David, can you tell us a little bit how – I know you have some strong opinions on how the NCAA handled this. You want to just go right into that?
So, I mean, yeah, sure. This is a kid that, since the beginning of the summer has been projected to be the number one pick in the NBA coming into next season. And it's kind of sad to me to see the way the NCAA has done this. So this isn't the only player. Off the top of my head, I can also think of Johnny Manziel, where they they put in sanctions and punishments, and actually almost Chase Young too. He might stay, but they did this to him too. Sanctions and punishments for little things like borrowing money which he actually did end up paying back and donating to charity. And they're ostracizing their stars to the point that they feel they're backed into a corner and they have to leave and go pro before they're ready. And this is a kid who now may not be the number 1 overall pick in the NBA. Think about the millions of dollars that costs him. But this is the right decision for him in the situation that he's in right now. And I think it's a bad business move for the NCAA to keep doing this to their stars. But they'll still end up making money because we're going to sit there and watch March Madness, and we're going to sit there and watch the college football playoff.
Yep. I can't. I don't understand. I don't understand why they keep doing it. It's crazy. And I think you're totally right. It's the best decision for him just to leave, which is so sad because now he doesn't get to play big games. He's got to hire some trainers. Look. Mitchell Robinson was supposed to be a top 10 pick coming out of high school. Everyone thought he was going to be one and done, right? And then he has problems with university. He spends the year, training for the draft, and he goes in the middle of the second round. So,
And we got a guy like LaMelo Ball now who's coming in who can compete for that number 1 pick. I mean, if I had to pick between James Wiseman and LaMelo Ball at this current moment, seeing that Wiseman's not playing live action basketball, I'd probably go with Ball. Yep. And there's a handful of players in the NCAA that may leapfrog them as well.
Yep.
Given their postseason performances, that they'll have an opportunity to have. This guy will not.
Right. Makes sense.
We're all going to have to wait and see. All right. So let's move on to our question of Ryan. Did you have a point?
I do. Baco has answered.
Oh.
What do you say?
Started off with, look, what can I say? I'm ambivalent. So not a great start. You're trading a rental for 3 prospects, a first rounder, and a conditional. I don't think it would have been better if we waited till the deadline. Chance of injury, chance of trade value deteriorating. Ultimately, I think Ray did what was best. The first round pick will be fine. Kevin Ball is a big, strong, skating D-man, which you need in this league right now. I don't think it was better going. I don't think it was going to be better. And what fuck? I don't think it was going to be better, and you have to balance the aspect of whether you trade for help now or later, and Shiro chose the latter. Oh, my God, I can't read.
What about Byram?
And I'm okay with that. Overall, it's a deal that will play out. I can't read.
What about Byram?
Yeah, you're not answering the big question.
I don't know if I would do that 1-for-1.
He said last week that he wouldn't go 1-for-1 with Byram. When he was on, he said he wanted Byram and more. He said 1-for-1 for Byram wasn't enough.
Right, but that's my point. Is would he have been happier with what he got or Byram?
Yeah, he said last week he wanted a package. Yeah, he said that last week. He said he wasn't trading Hall for Byram 1-for-1.
That's just so Ryan doesn't have to text him back. Okay, so thank you to Dan Bach.
He said hold on. He said overall it's a deal that will play out based on how the first pans out and how Ball plays. Am I over the moon? No, but from a hockey perspective, you're doing necessarily better for a rental with no contract in place at the current market.
Great answer, I thought.
Very well worded.
That Baco.
Sorry, Dan, that I can't read. I'll work on that for the next episode.
Dumb kid, that Hicksy.
Hey.
All right, so let's move on to our question of the week. David wanted to know what our first sporting event was. I get a couple of answers. Big Al Santa Padre said his first game was to go see the Giants at the old Giant Stadium. John Franklin said his first sporting event was Eli Manning's first career start against the Falcons. Brendan Brooks said he got to see his first professional sporting game be a Red Sox game at Fenway Park, always a good game. Dave Davino said he got to see the Yankees play a game at the old Yankee Stadium when he was 8 years old and even got to take home a free bat. As Davino's always win, and that's a rule of life. And then Justin Cerise said the New Jersey Devils versus the Carolina Hurricanes at Continental Airlines Arena, and unfortunately the Devils lost 4-2 that day. Now this requires a little bit of searching. Maddie, do you remember your first professional sports game?
Not necessarily my first professional sports game, but the most memorable professional sports game that I can remember. Well, I mean, my first professional sport, I went to Giants games when I was
there. You go.
I mean, yeah, but
that's the answer we're looking for. You missed.
No, you're looking for Game 6 of 2003 Stanley Cup Finals, New Jersey Devils Anaheim Mighty Ducks. That's what got me hooked onto hockey even more than I am now. Jay Pandolfo, the goal. Devils won. They went on to win the Stanley Cup this year. I would have been there for the Stanley Cup game if they had not blown it in Anaheim. But that's one of my favorite games I've ever been to, hands down. 2003, I was in third grade, and I remember it to this day. So that's my game.
Awesome.
David,
I gave you crap there for a little bit.
Yeah, Larry.
Matt O'Hara does not play by your rules. All right, David, this is
He should play by your show's rules.
No, those other games were meaningless. I wanted to give you a meaningful game to me.
Yeah, it's meaningful.
He's got a point.
David, do you remember your answer?
Yeah, so the first game I went to, I believe, I think it was in the summer of 2002, may have been 2003. I'm not specific on the year, but it was a New York Mets and Atlanta Braves game on a weekend in August. And I believe, Luke, you were not there, but Lawrence was there with me.
Yep.
Both of our fathers were, too. And the most memorable moment of it is that I was, being a 6-7-year-old kid, just, messing around in the aisle between the seats. And it was like the seventh inning of a blowout. Nobody was paying attention. The Mets were down like 9-1. And some pinch hitter for the pitcher.
No, wasn't it Andrew Jones who hit it?
No, I think it was some no-name.
Was
I'm pretty sure it was some no-name
they
guy.
Just lie to us the entire time?
I mean, well, we can ask on Saturday.
Okay,
I'm gonna inquire, but I'm pretty sure it was some no-name bench player. Just hit this high careening foul ball, and our parents looking around, our dad's looking around, and they're like, "Oh shit, that's coming right for us." So my dad naturally, first reaction is like, well, where's my 6-year-old? Because this is about to go crazy right now. So he grabs me by the neck and picks me up and then tries to one-hand the ball, and it catches him right in the hand. Left seam marks on his hand, and he dropped it. Completely dropped it. And then it, bounced down a couple steps, and some drunk dude chugging or smashing a hot dog probably picked it up and was like, oh, I got the ball. So
to this day, Uncle David still does not forgive David for that. Let's make that clear. Lawrence, do you remember your first sporting game?
He did it himself, and no, I don't. So I'm going to go with that one.
Oh, hey, Larry, that's bogus.
It is bogus, but that's the thing that's kind of the question. Like, I don't have a memory. I was fortunate enough to go to
sports event.
It was that game. Yes, that's the first sports memory I have. I was fortunate enough to go to a lot of Met games when I was a kid. So it was my answer coming out of the show was going to be a Met game at Chase Stadium, and I cannot tell you which one it was.
Ryan, do you have an answer for us?
Game because that was awesome.
I have a similar. I don't remember. I couldn't tell you a single sports thing about it. It was a BC hockey game. I went to a bunch of them as a kid. But I remember nothing about the game, but I will never forget this. When you're like 6 or 7, like going into a bathroom at a sporting event was like a daunting experience because there's 40 urinals and just grown men everywhere, and you're
more
horrified.
Options than you've ever seen in your entire life.
So me and my dad going to the bathroom. We're going to the bathroom, and all of a sudden I just hear splat, and some kid in a stall. This is at a college hockey game, so just put that in mind. Kid throws up everywhere. Medics get called in. Police get called in. And now I'm like 7 years old, I don't know. I don't know what drinking is. Like, I have no comprehension of what drinking too much is. Like, I am lost. So now this kid has now covered in his own throat. My dad's trying to get us out of the way. All of a sudden this kid gets put to a wheelchair, and I'm like, oh my God, is he okay? Like, I'm thinking he's sick, and my dad's like, he's fine, keep moving. Obviously my dad knows what's going on. All of a sudden this kid obviously realizes he's about to get arrested, jumps up out of the wheelchair, and books it down the corridor, and I see the two cops drop the wheelchair, fold it up, and run after and tackle this kid. And that was the last thing I remember. My dad took us down some flight of stairs, and it took me years to realize what had happened. And one day the story came up, and I was like, oh, that's what that kid. I never understood why someone got arrested for throwing up until years later. But that is, I couldn't tell you who won the game. I couldn't tell you who BC was playing, but I'll never forget the kid getting arrested. It was all time.
Wow. Okay, so that really makes my.
Go.
No, go ahead, Lawrence. You go.
No. You go, please.
Luke, what's your game?
Stop doing this. You speak.
So mine's gonna. I promised you guys a story here. I promised you guys a story for this answer because there's nothing I love more than taking a simple question way too seriously. It's one of my favorite things. And before I give my answer, I need to give a huge thank you to Aunt Phyllis and Uncle Ralph Della Rocca because I could not have had my answer without them. So, as we've discussed previously on this podcast, our father loves to take pictures of literally everything. Loves nothing more in life. So, naturally, we have photo albums. So, I was going through photo albums to see what my first game was. Because,
damn, good call.
Yeah, so I was going through the photo albums, and, I've seen, I'm going through, I was born in 97, I go 98, 99. Obviously, I didn't go to those games because if you could take Lawrence and a friend, why would you take a baby? And I'm going
Totally
through albums,
fair.
and I finally find one, not at a Met game, I'm at a Phillies game. So I'm at a Phillies game, but the thing is, I can't make out who the Phillies are playing. But I see Aunt Phyllis and Uncle Ralph are with us. So I text them, and I said, hey, there's no date on the picture. Do you remember anything about the Phillies game we went to? And now Dad is taking pictures of the kids. He's taking the pictures of the family. He gets the field and he gets the Phillies lineup, and he can't get the entire picture. Does not have the opposing team's lineup. So I've got no idea who we're playing. And everyone in the stands is wearing some generic clothing. No one's wearing a jersey or anything. I can't make out this other team. But the photo album is sometime between June and September of 2000. So what do? I go to Google it.
You're right. You did take this entirely too soon.
I told you guys I had a story.
Warren, kidding.
And I can't find this lineup anywhere. Not a singular time in the year 2000 where this pitcher pitched to this catcher with this guy playing short. It just didn't happen. So I'm like, this game.
You sure there wasn't a defensive switch in like the 7th or something?
It's true. I took a picture of
Can you double check the date on the back of the picture? It says July 1st, and July 1st isn't the game that this happened. This guy didn't even pitch. And she said, go ahead and double check.
That's the day it was developed.
It's 01. It's not 2000. So I've been looking for number 11, Hunter Sefcik, playing shortstop this entire time, when I totally forgot Jimmy Rollins was number 11 and played shortstop. So thank you to Aunt Phyllis. My answer is July 15, 2001. The Philadelphia Phillies beat the New York Yankees 9-3 at Veterans Stadium with a big Jeter home run. So, yeah, also, I'm sorry to Quinnipiac University for just disgracing the journalism degree that you gave me. Totally wasted it. Aunt Phil and Uncle Ralph did all the work there. That's my long-winded answer for you.
All right. Since I had a cop-out, I do have a story from a Met game that triggered when you were like, why not take Lawrence and a friend, because it's better than taking a baby. Because I remember when I went to a Met game with one of my friends from grade school, Matt Barwick, and his dad, that they both had picked us up at one point and brought us down to the field for when Derek Bell was running in from the outfield, Mets outfielder Derek Bell. And when they reached us both out, we both put our gloves out because we were little kids and we had brought our gloves to game to catch the foul ball, right? And he stood in front of us for like a hot second and kind of was like deciding who to give it to. And then he gave the ball to Matt, and I was like, and that's why I remember it. So,
all right.
Saw Derek Bell up real close when I was a kid.
Ryan's bathroom story reminded me of the time we went to that Ravens-Colts playoff game.
Oh, yeah.
I was wearing a Dwight Freeney jersey, 16-year-old kid.
Yeah.
I went to the bathroom by myself. Mistake.
Baltimore.
In Baltimore. And I thought I was going to die. All these Ravens fans giving me so much crap. I thought it was over.
Yeah. So my favorite story from that day, while it might be the car story, is that when you guys went to go take a picture with the Johnny Unitas statue, and all the Ravens fans were giving you guys crap while they were rubbing the Johnny Unitas statue. I
was like, dude, look, he's got a horseshoe in his helmet. I got a horseshoe in my jersey. Wait, you guys are on the wrong side here. So many people wearing John Unitas Ravens jerseys that day, too.
Crazy. Didn't make any sense.
Wow.
I mean, the day that the Colts went back to Baltimore for the first time as the road team, he stood on the Ravens sideline. That's the reason that I think they feel they have the right to do so.
Of course he did. All right.
Yeah,
all right.
Well,
Fun.
It's time for our last one of the year. Lawrence, make it count. What time is it?
Mailbag.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the most eccentric mailbag we've had yet.
I love that.
All right, so let's start us off. I told you guys I'd have a question of my own for mailbag, so we'll get right to it. What is your team of the decade? It's the last show of 2019, last show of the 2010s. I want to hear your team of the decade.
So now, clarification: is this the best team over a 10-year span, or are we identifying one team over the past 10 years that was the most dominant?
So I doubt you guys have a specific yearly team.
Ryan's going to say the Patriots.
If you guys have a yearly team, by all means, give it to me. But I'm looking for a 10-year span. Okay,
New England Patriots. So what's the next mailbag question?
Yeah.
See, I feel like there's a valid argument here.
There is absolutely no way that a team has dominated the entirety, all 10 years, the way the Patriots did.
How many championships they win in those 10 years?
They won 3, they appeared in 5, and they went to 9 out of 10 AFC championship games. That is absurd. The only thing that we can even relate to that is LeBron going to the championship 8 times. So if you want to clump LeBron's teams, then that's fair. But there is no team that dominated all 10 years. There were dynasties within there. There are teams that won 3 out of 4 or 2 out of 4, absolutely. But if you want to go from 2010 until right now, wire to wire, the New England Patriots were the most dominant team. They went to 9 AFC championship games in a row. They missed the first one and then went to 9 in a row. They went to 5 Super Bowls. The guarantee, the certainties over the last 10 years has been death, taxes, and the Patriots in the AFC championship game. No other team has dominated the 10-year span in the way the New England Patriots did. There have absolutely been dynasties, but if you want to talk about a 10-year span, no one even touches them.
I don't agree with Ryan's sentiment here.
I hate that he's right.
I mean, it is true.
There's not even anything close.
Number 2, you got to say.
So I'm going to be the brave boy and step up to the big bad Ryan. I'm going to pick the team that changed an entire sport. And that's the Golden State Warriors. Yeah, I know that the Patriots are really good at football, and they're always really good at football. But not only did the Warriors set the record for most regular season wins in NBA history, they made everybody else change their roster around them. They got 4 All-Stars and took one of their MVPs off the bench and made everybody else go out and sign stars so they had a chance to fight against the Warriors. And you're right, Ryan. The Patriots have been good all decade, and the Warriors didn't get good around to the time they got Steph. And then added Clay. But the Warriors legitimately changed the game of basketball for a certain number of years. And now we're finally at the recorrection. We're back to duos. We're not in super teams anymore. But we had to go from 3 to 4, right? We needed teams to go out and sign free agents so they could think about fighting against the Warriors. The Patriots always get a fight, whether it be the Steelers, the Broncos, the Colts, the Ravens. They always get a fight in the playoffs. No team like the Warriors has ever been so scary in the past 10 years, and that's my answer.
Well, they won like 5 Western Conference in a row or something like that, didn't they? Didn't they win the West? Didn't they win the West like 5 years in a row?
5 years in a row.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I mean, they
lost in the first round in 2013, and they lost in the conference semis in 2012.
And they got 17, 18, 19 championships, right?
They have 15, 17.
What do they have?
15, 17, 18.
18, 17, 17.
15, 17, 18, 19.
Yeah.
Which is wild. I mean,
they were, yeah. It's hard to argue with Ryan's point.
Brought this up.
They were absolutely dominant. They were a dynasty within that 10-year period, but you can't just ignore the first 4 years of the decade.
The only team I would say we could sit here and objectively say was comparable to the Patriots is the Alabama Crimson Tide. Now, I don't know if you want to include college football teams in this, but they have been in every college football playoff that there's been, except for this one, which they would have been in had their number 1 overall pick quarterback not suffered a gruesome hip injury that he may not go to the NFL for.
They were in it for all 9 years?
This is the first time they're missing the playoffs ever.
Wow, interesting. Didn't know
the playoffs started, I want to say, in 2013. But I mean, that's the better part of a decade.
Oh, okay.
And they were in the championship games prior to that playoff beginning. So That's an dynasty that absolutely dominated. But I don't think there's really anything close to what the Patriots have done. They've never not made the playoffs, and they've only missed the conference championship once. They've never had a down year in this decade. There hasn't been a time that you haven't looked at the Patriots in the past 10 years and said, okay, they have a shot to win the Super Bowl.
Just out of curiosity, here, so we talked a little bit about NFL. We have NBA down. What about NHL and MLB? Is the Blackhawks? How many championships they won this year?
3, and MLB is the Giants, which is also 3, and neither of them even remotely. I just did the research. Neither of them even remotely come close to what the other two teams have been.
I was just curious about, like, in this last decade, who's been on top.
Does anyone have a specific team that they want to give?
What?
So like your one yearly team, like right?
I mean, it has to be. It's the Warriors team. Yeah, the Warriors team that went 60-something and 7 or whatever ridiculous record it was.
76-6.
Yeah, that team.
Didn't they lose the? Didn't they lose
one
the
they beat the Cavs?
That was the year. That was the year they lost to the Cavs.
The one after they lost to the Cavs. I think that was the record one, wasn't it?
I still think that even though that team didn't win it, because
they added Durant.
It was not, David. When they lost to the Cavs, they were 73-9. The year after, they were 67-15.
Huh. Now that team did not have Durant on it. The one that lost.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that's amazing.
I still think that was the most dominant team. I mean, I think you cannot win the championship and still be the most dominant team we've ever seen.
I'm going to give a different answer. I'm going to obviously that's the answer, but I'm going to give you like a story of like a team that had no business being there and ended up winning it all. And that's the 2012 Los Angeles Kings. That team had no business winning the championship.
Yeah, but that's not the team of the decade, dude. You know.
But isn't that like what's
they're an 8 seed that won a title? I mean, not really. Like wild card teams have won the Super Bowl since, right?
Yeah, but
Kopitar put that goal
in every sport.
Legs, so that hurt.
But here's the thing:
the Nationals had no business being in this playoffs.
I disagree about that though. It's because like we're going to look back and talk about how Max Scherzer is one of the best pitchers of all time, and Steven.
But that doesn't mean this team that like started the first 3 months of the year in absolute disarray and bottom of the NL East, deserve to be there at the end. They hit the second wild card spot. I think that's a flaw.
They didn't hit the second. They hit the first.
Yeah, they hosted that.
It was real close.
Luke, if that's going to be your argument, I think you have to take the Blues as that team and not the Kings.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the Blues ended up being the 6th seed.
Yeah, but the Blues were in last place.
They were in last place.
Like I'm supporting.
And I went to go explain myself, but I got cut off with the Nationals.
Go ahead.
And
hockey by nature.
Let him go.
I'll say after.
Yeah, so the only thing I wanted to say about the Kings is that you look at wild card teams that that win the championships, they have star players that people will talk about as some of the greats to ever play. The 2012 Kings, Jonathan Quick was really good and won a gold medal, but he's not going to be he's widely considered one of the worst goalies in the NHL right now.
Did he not win? Did he not win?
He didn't win a gold medal.
Did
Lawrence?
Did not win the Vezina that year? Or am I crazy?
Watch, I couldn't hear what you said. You got up and out of your chair and took your hat off.
You just said that he's not a good goalie now. He is one of the best goalies of the NHL in this decade. Just because he sucks now doesn't mean he wasn't elite at one point.
Yeah, but so Jeff Carter was elite at one point. Mike Richards was elite at one point.
Stars.
Mike Richards was elite at one point. What I'm saying is these guys don't have the lasting star power that teams that make the wild card and win the championship, they have. Scherzer. They have. What do you mean no? You can't just say no. They don't have the stars.
I mean, that team had Kopitar, Dustin Brown, Drew Doughty.
Kopitar is the only person I still consider to be a great.
What? Drew Doughty?
Oh, I would consider Drew Doughty. You're right.
That team was stacked, dude.
Muzzin?
I couldn't hear it.
Luke, I don't hate the argument. I just think you picked the wrong team. I think if you're going to use that argument, the Blues have to be that team.
Yeah, coming off a goaltender that was unheard of.
Right. I don't hate
literally unheard of.
I don't hate the argument for team of the decade. That the inherent part of that argument, I just don't think you picked the right team to support the claim.
I think that the St. Louis Blues will have enough players by the time that the 2019 team is done that we'll still talk about. And I think there's only 2 players still on that
Like who?
LA team.
Ryan O'Reilly. Like that's it.
Ryan O'Reilly is up
Yeah.
there.
Tarasenko's really good.
With Bergeron is one of the best defensive offensive players. Ryan, is that a crazy argument or
no? I mean, I just think I think it's hard to talk about a team 10 years ago. Like when you look at the 2011 Bruins team. Just use another example. Like if you think about dominance right now, like Bergeron and Chara are the only 2 from that team. So like it's hard to take a team from 10 years ago and say like,
not play on that team, or was that Tim Thomas still?
No, that was Tim Thomas.
Was it really?
You guys gonna get Kovalchuk, Ryan, or what?
I see. My brother was all over this. I hope not. It's a waste of time in media.
I don't want to open a can of worms.
The guy can't play anymore. He's not going to do anything. You're not going to break up your top 2 lines on this team. So he's going to be a bottom 6 forward again for what? Maybe 10 goals if you hope. But why? What? He hasn't proven anything.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you.
They're on a tear. They're on a. If they get desperate enough in this little slump that they're in, where they're 1-6 or 1-7 in their last 8. I think you're panicking too early. This team is too good to try to put Ilya Kovalchuk and all his ego in the middle of it. This has been an argument in the Hicks household. That's why that reaction was so quick.
You guys know that the Kings are going to have $11 million in dead money between Kovalchuk. I'm pretty sure it's Phaneuf, and I think Mike Richards was the last one.
It is.
Yeah, $11 million in dead cap for the LA Kings. So that team is done. All right. Well, we have more mailbag to talk about, so let's just jump into those. All right. So Justin Cerise wants to know who was the best underdog that will never be remembered because they fell just short.
The 2015 New York Mets.
Rick Devens in Survivor Season 38.
Oh man, that's a tough one.
Yeah,
Butler basketball.
Butler. I like Butler basketball.
That's a good answer. That's a good answer, Lawrence.
Insert cliche quote here about how you never remember who finished second.
Yeah, good job, right?
Unless they weren't first.
Right? But here's the inherent issue with it. Can you reread the question?
Sure. Who was the best underdog that will never be remembered because they fell just short?
Well, I'm pretty sure the correct answer is someone that none of us remember. So the research done prior to this show probably would have been helpful because I remembered Butler. But I don't know. That's a tough one.
Which Butler team?
The one that lost to UConn.
Oh, okay, I would have said the one lost to Duke.
Oh, actually, I have.
Were they? Wait, was that when they were the 8th seed?
I mean, they weren't. I don't think they were higher than a 6 either year. Regardless, I don't know if they maybe an 8 or a 7 or a 6, something like that. But they were one shot away. I mean, they were a ball off the backboard away from winning. Matt Howard hit the rim with his last-second shot.
Oh, right.
Against Duke.
Yeah. They kind of got dumped on by UConn, right?
This probably isn't the best answer to give, but does anyone remember when the Jacksonville Jaguars were in the playoffs?
They were in the AFC Championship game.
Yeah, remember when that was a thing?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, that's 2 years ago, dude.
That defense was filthy.
Matt, we watched that game in an Airbnb in Uncasville, Connecticut when we were going to Mohegan Sun that night.
I remember why I don't really. Yeah, yeah.
That's why you don't remember.
Yeah.
What about a favorite that lost that we forgot about because they lost?
I'm pretty sure you could pick any Vancouver Canucks team from the early 2010s.
I'm thinking about Lightning last year. That's what brought that to my mind.
Matt, Ryan's looking to say the Patriots again. Hold up, let him go.
No, football excluded.
They're excluded.
I mean,
we're moving on.
17-0. You can't tell me that doesn't answer Maddie's question.
Actually,
I know.
Yeah,
you
know
can't
Eli
get
Manning
mad.
Hicks.
Remembers that though. That's the thing. Everyone remembers that.
You can't get mad at me for when I select the Patriots and they're a correct answer to the question.
No, they're not a correct answer to that question because everyone remembers when the Patriots were 17 against the Giants. He's saying the best favorite that goes unremembered because they lost.
Oh, but everyone remembers the favorite that lost. That's an inherently flawed question.
Hicks actually is true on this point. I'll have to give him that. I was thinking Lightning. That's why I brought it up.
I fucking love this podcast. Everyone just tells me how right I am all the time.
Well, I mean,
all you do is talk about how the New England Patriots are the best franchise
it's a
in the world.
Don't get me wrong. It's a cop out.
You're right.
It's unfortunate your team's the answer to every question possible. Like, that's the unfortunate
that.
about it.
That's unfortunate for us.
Really unfortunate. It's really terrible. Gosh. All right. Anyway, go take it away, Luke.
Speaking of Ryan and championships, Ryan, this question is for you. Mike Parr wants to know if Ryan Hicks' state championship in ultimate frisbee counts as a state championship, even though it was club.
First of all, I would like Mike to fact check. I'm a 2-time state champion, so you write back to Mr. Parr and tell him to do his research about the 2013 and 2015 state champion in ultimate frisbee for Massachusetts.
Page?
I'm sure you can find. Go into USA Ultimate. You probably find it there. We were, and not for nothing, my senior year, we were in the top 50 nationally ranked. So ask Mike how his fourth line high school hockey minutes were treating him and that one penalty he got.
Whoa! Pop, 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 pop.
This is also an argument we had the other night. Yes, my state championships count. I have a trophy or a picture of a trophy to prove it.
Did you guys know the reason Holly started dating Ryan is because she said she likes a man who can handle a disc? That's actually what she said when she met Ryan. I asked for questions. I asked for questions for this mailbag from the 2010s. So John Franklin wants to know, when will insanity actually end?
Never, Frankie. Never.
I like to think that people still care about Jeremy Linden. Like
I do still care about Jeremy Linden.
Is he still on Toronto?
No.
I think
where is he now?
He's not in the league anymore. This year was like.
He's not. He's not.
I think he left.
Oh, I thought he was still in the league. I thought he was still at.
No, I don't think he resigned with anyone.
In Toronto though? Am I crazy?
Yeah, he plays.
He got a ring. He got a ring.
He did get a ring.
Got a ring playing 6 minutes.
He's playing in China right now. He plays for the Beijing Ducks.
The Beijing Ducks.
Wonder how that's going. Wonder if he's putting up mad points.
Well, I'm sure.
Who's the Yukon kid who went over to China and just lit it up? What's his name?
Was it Gilbert?
Nope. Short white guy.
Stefan Marbury.
Nope.
No, we're not going to do this.
Yeah, I don't
know.
I don't know the answer to your.
I'm going to look it up, and I'm going to say it, and everyone's going to be like, "Wow, I can't believe we didn't think of that."
All right, go ahead. Have fun with that. Okay. Last mailbag
The answer's
question.
not Tom Brady this time, Ryan.
Yeah, that's why he's so stumped. Last mailbag question is Jake Bullion wants to know, is there a way to even out the Defensive Player of the Year battle between secondary players on the front seven? Because in the past 48 years, data shows that 10 secondary players have won the award and 38 players have been in the front seven.
Jimmer Fredette was the white guy I was thinking of.
Really?
He wasn't from
No,
UConn.
he was BYU.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh well.
Schooled.
See, had you said BYU, we would have known that.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to the question.
To answer the
Luke,
question,
can you repeat the question, please?
Absolutely, Matty. So the question is, in the last 48 years, 10 players have won the Defensive Player of the Year award, being secondary players, and the other 38 have played the front seven. So is there any way to even out the battle between secondary players and players who play on the front seven?
Nope. It's easier to record a sack or a tackle than it is to get an interception. These awards like big numbers, and as a result, unless you have a completely dominant secondary player, where maybe only having less interceptions than sacks, but generally speaking, you're always going to have more sacks and tackles than you are going to have interceptions. And because people like to look at big numbers, I think that you're always going to have a front seven guy.
Jake had the same argument for what it's worth.
I also think about the numbers. Oh, you go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, David.
It's I don't think it's so much about numbers as, you'd have to change the rules of football in order to do that, because front seven players, especially defensive linemen, just inherently have a bigger impact in the game. The same way that quarterbacks always win MVPs because they have bigger impacts in the game. A defensive lineman can stop the run or the pass by himself. Cornerbacks and safeties don't have that ability. They're just the safety net for when those defensive linemen screw up. So from a importance to the defensive unit, those front seven players are more important. That's why they get those awards more.
Makes sense. The quarterback comparison spot on.
Yeah. I think we're going to see a cornerback
totally
win
agree,
Player of
David.
the Year this year, though.
Yes, so that's why this question was asked, so Pats fans can continue to talk about how great their team is.
I honestly think the league is kind of changed in a way where your defensive front is so important these days. Because think about it, quarterbacks are getting so good and so mobile. Like, if you can stop them before the pass is even thrown, and the secondary doesn't even have to play as well, so to speak. Like, if you can sack or if you can put pressure where they throw it away. I mean, the teams that are good in this league these days have a really good defensive front. I mean, if you can pressure the quarterback, if you can make him scramble and make him throw bad passes or make him throw away, the secondary doesn't even have to work as hard. So I think the game has changed in a way where if you can rush the quarterback, you have a big advantage.
The goal of a defensive coach in the NFL is to make the quarterback feel uncomfortable. That is their number one objective.
Yeah. Well said.
Cool. All right. So now it's time for the final portion of the show, the last one of 2019. Here it comes, the judges' trivia question of the week. Now, boys, Judge actually asked me to hold on to this one, but I thought it was way too good now that we have Maddie here. That I figured we'll just go ahead and get it over with. Now, another hockey question. Another hockey question. So I hope you guys are ready.
Ooh, hockey. All right. That's the only thing I know. So.
The question is, I have 3 hints, just like I always do.
Okay.
The question is, which active NHLer has the most career points in the World Junior Tournament with 28 points in 21 games?
Connor McDavid.
Wrong.
Sidney
Austin
Crosby.
Matthews.
Kane.
Nope. And no.
No
Did you
Kane?
hear Austin Matthews?
I did not hear Austin Matthews, but that's still wrong.
Damn.
But he's in the league now, and he's got the most points in World Junior. For what, do you see a country?
I'm going to give you 2 hints.
Wait, I didn't guess yet.
Okay, yeah. When Lawrence guesses wrong, I'll give you the first 2 hints.
Is it for a country? Is there a country involved or just in World
Dylan
Junior?
That's got to be for a country.
Dylan Larkin is not correct. And Matt, the hints do have to do with countries. So here we go. Your first hint is he was drafted by a team in the Atlantic Division, and now he plays in the Central. And your second hint is he did not play for Team Canada or Team USA.
Okay, so Europe, probably Russian. I don't know what the Central is, though. That's a problem.
I went the Stars for some reason, but the Sagan's not European, and
He's Canadian.
Oh, yeah, no, never mind.
I think you guys
Tarasenko, is it?
say it again.
Vladimir Tarasenko.
Tarasenko is not correct.
No.
I'll let you guys get in. Line is incorrect. I'll let you guys get in one more guess apiece. So Ryan and David, you guys can guess again.
Can you just tell us
And
the
I'll give you the
Central?
final hint.
This guy has Tads.
All right, I'll try and name the Central off the top of my head. Let's see here. All right, the Central Division is the Nashville Predators, the Minnesota Wild, the Winnipeg Jets, the Dallas Stars. What else is in the Central?
Blackhawks.
The Blackhawks,
Blues.
the Blues,
Avalanche.
the Avalanche. That's it.
Well, it's definitely somebody on one of the first 2 teams he named because he couldn't recall the other ones. So either
what were
a
those
Pred
first 2
or
teams?
Wild. Predator
Is
or
it
Wild.
Rupe Hintz? Is this your way?
Not
Of...
Rupe Hintz.
Is it Mikko
I feel like
Koivu?
all the guys we
It's not
named would
Mikko
have skipped
Koivu.
names.
Okay, here's your final hint. His brother does currently play for a team in the Atlantic.
Oh, it's Eric Stahl.
Incorrect. Played for Team
Wait,
Canada.
Canadian, no.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got to be from Europe.
Well, he's in the Atlantic.
Yeah, and this is going to drive you nuts because that's what happened to me.
Has to be a European player that's been on 2 teams, at least in the
It
NHL.
has a fucking
And is
brother.
currently on the Preds or Wild, unless Luke is misleading us.
Who knows? I'm very good at that. It's that theater minor, David. They didn't give me that for nothing. Oh, that previous acting experience I had.
And his brother is in the NHL.
That's what's killing
Brothers
me.
in the
And
Atlantic.
plays in the Atlantic.
That's where I'm trying to go to, but what's his?
I'm gonna
Lightning
tack on an
and-
extra hint here.
I think
What position does he
I
play?
think Judge got it.
I'm gonna give you guys an extra hint here because it really probably would have helped me if I had this. You know exactly who his brother is. You probably forgot that this guy existed.
I have no
Subban.
idea.
Nope, it's
No.
not. It's not PK Subban.
And Malcolm
Well,
Subban doesn't play in the Atlantic anymore.
Yeah, Vegas is not in the Atlantic, right?
Say it again, Lawrence.
Malcolm Subban's
Or
not scoring
Vegas.
28 points in World Juniors because he's a goalie.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
And
missed
Jordan
that.
got drafted by
missed that
Vancouver, I
part.
think, so he doesn't even count.
Oh my God! It's
So
Jamie
he's a
Benn.
player.
No, he's
a
Canadian
player.
too.
He's a defenseman.
But he is a
Oh,
brother.
Jamie Benn's a great guess.
Yeah, he's Canadian though.
Yeah, it's the problem.
Still the
But
brother.
he has
thing.
a no-name brother that did not.
Yeah.
Wait, but Luke said we know the brother. We don't know this guy.
So it'd be Jordy Ben then.
So
No,
yeah,
we don't know the
Jordy.
brother, but we know this guy.
I don't know. I waved the white flag.
Judge.
What team is he on? What team is he on before you
Judge.
tell us? What team's
Right
his
now?
brother on? What team's his brother on?
What team's his brother on?
Yeah.
All right, so his brother,
I've conceded, so let's go.
Okay. Maddie, are you conceding?
No, I want to know what team's his brother on, but it's not my
but-
show.
His brother
He's the
is
fifth
a
hint.
Toronto Maple Leaf.
Marner's brother, Matthews' brother, Morgan
Riley.
Riley's brother.
You guys ready?
Kadri?
Yes.
Kadri? I don't know.
Guys, it's current Chicago Blackhawk and brother of William Nylander, Alexander Nylander.
Didn't know he existed.
Buffalo
I-
to Chicago.
Yeah.
I forgot he existed. He was a big deal in Buffalo. Everyone thought he was going to be the next big thing.
Pick.
Yeah.
Yep, everyone thought he was going to be the next big deal, and then he got flipped to
Damn.
Chicago, and everyone forgot about him. Yep.
That sucks.
So we
I would've
close
never got
out.
that.
We close out the
Nice,
decade getting stumped by the judge, which I guess is just run for the course here, right? Par for the course.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm sorry it had to end this.
first, and then it was like he just came on with an onslaught of absolute massacre.
He
questions.
wanted to make sure we never
I
felt
like
that amount of
the question.
happiness ever again.
Yeah.
All
Totally
right, well,
fair.
congrats to the judge. Maddie, it was a pleasure having you here.
Guys, really appreciate the time. Love listening to you guys. Really appreciate you'd like to have me on. Love talking to you guys. Hope to come back again. Keep it up. Doing great work. Let's go
Thank you.
Giants. Let's go Devils. I don't watch baseball. So. Let's go Knicks. Baby. All the bad
can I-
teams. All the bad teams under one roof right here.
Can I just get you to do something really
Oh, I
quick?
can get-
Ready?
I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Jets. Woo! Let's
Love
go
it.
Jets, baby. All right,
That
guys.
was
Great
beautiful,
show.
guys.
Guys, keep
That
it
was
up.
that was fantastic. I'm so happy we got to end on that note. But ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for joining us. We loved having you on Three Guys Talking Sports early in the decade. We love having you for Four Guys Talking Sports now. And be sure to join us in the new year for our new debate episodes that will kick off 2020. And I think you guys are going to like those. So, for all of us here at Four Guys Talking Sports, my name is Luke Lograno.
I'm Ryan Hicks.
I'm David Acasella
I'm Lawrence Lograno.
Ladies and gentlemen,
for Matt O'Hara.
Ladies and gentlemen, we loved having you. Thank you so much. Enjoy your holidays. We'll see you when we come back. Take care.
Spay and neuter your pets.